Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Mi, and thank you for joining us again. And warmest welcome to the second Decolonial Fashion Film Festival. So a big round of applause to the zine that we've just seen, but also then a big round of applause to what's coming up ahead. Is a very short but very exciting program of 6 fashion films. That 6 films that we've put together, and very interestingly enough, they're all led by amazing women who are part of the panel. Some of us are part of the panel, but I'd like to maybe just open up and share our deep condolences to Kanye, who was meant to be the chair for or moderator for this evening, but she had a family member pass away today, so she couldn't. Our condolences go to her. So I will introduce the films, and my kind of sense is we've got about an hour. The films take up about 40 minutes, so quite a lot of the session will be just to spend beautiful time with the films. I haven't seen them all either. And I think I'm going to do some very short introductions. And Mi, I'm not too sure, would you like to say something before we start with the films? I'll introduce a very short synopsis and the bio of the maker, but was there anything else that you would like to add?
No, thank you. You may go ahead. I know we have a really short 1 hour. It's better you to introduce all of them all together.
Great. So what I would like to do is, very often we all share the film, we all experience something, and to immediately move into the next film can sometimes, we all need a little bit of time to process a film. So I'd like to create a space where one person after the film, anybody that's in the room, anybody that's with us, shares a response. How it made you feel, what you thought about it, just a short, it could be a 1-line response, or just a sentence or 2 about the film. So I'd like to just open that up, just so that we sit with each film in response to the film, and then we'll go to the next one. But I'm going to just try to keep that quite short. So very, very excited. We're going to start with our first video, which I don't have a synopsis, but all I know that it is the Organises is an art and textile brand of artisan-made goods and original design textile products that is made in collaboration with artisans in India and Ecuador. So I think, following from the session earlier, we really have quite a global, and we're starting with a really nice intra-continental conversation, and it's by Veronica Pizantos. And so Veronica is a connector, a thought leader, a visionary, a producer, a curator, an advisor, and a professor of art, history, and sustainable fashion. So for over the last 25 years, Veronica has experience in education and the arts. And from her very beginnings as a researcher at the Prado in Madrid, she ventured in to manage international art education programs, and pursuing a graduate degree at Colonial Art History and Critical Theory. She continued teaching and publishing and lecturing. So since then, she's also founded 2 sustainable fashion brands. And I think, Mi, if you'd like to share the first film, then we can go into that. Thank you so much, Veronica, for sharing this with us.
Mi nombre es Matrico Lema o Matilde Lema. Yo soy de aquí, de la comunidad de Peluche. Nosotros hemos sido artesanos desde la niñez, hilando, cardando, limpiando la lana, lavando la lana. Si no hacemos conocer al mundo nuestra artesanía, ¿qué podemos hacer? Y la gente tiene que conocer tiene que, si está trabajando con artesanía, tiene que ser una mujer que quiera trabajar, una mujer que tenga corazón para el resto, para poder ayudar. Entonces, así nosotros podemos pagar un precio justo, porque toda la vida hemos vivido explotados y nunca hemos podido hacer algo, ¿no? Tener este contacto es una ayuda, es un ingreso que viene para mejorar la situación de la vida de las mujeres. Claro, también es cansado, pero para mí es una alegría porque eso me da esa oportunidad para mi vida tener paz y estar en contacto con la gente.
Thank you so much. I mean, Angela, I'm thinking yesterday, those of you that shared with us yesterday, Rolando's conversation about fashion as being not just an object, it's a living thing. And when we see these fibers and we see these materials, they're becoming living dialogues or living conversations. Thank you so much. I'm going to go into the next one. And the next one's called Follow Me and My Train of Thoughts, Me Oso, Colonial Tropes in the 21st Century. So this film explores architectural memory and colonial legacies that permeate the quotidian. The film is a critical artistic analysis of Me Oso, or My House, a contemporary architectural project in a predominantly Black neighborhood in Amsterdam, Southeast, that draws inspiration from Surinamese architecture. Inserted throughout the landscape is a political gesture of an Afro-Surinamese woman wearing a modernized koto. This film is an intervention of colonial structures like Me Oso that linger throughout the Caribbean, reminding the descendants of enslaved Africans of their colonized pasts. So the film is made by Yelaine Rodriguez, who is an Afro-Dominican York artistic scholar, educator, curator, and writer, who merges her creative language and academic research within her practice. She conceptualizes wearable art, sculptures, and site-specific installations, drawing connections between Black cultures in the Caribbean and the US. And studied in Latin American, Caribbean studies, and museum studies at New York University. So currently an adjunct instructor at New School and NYU. So yeah. And so the third one that we is a slightly longer one. So we started with these moments of touching into space. And so I think the third one, we're really looking at a film that's sort of maybe exploring again a return to weaving, and taking the title Kohai Grace, making tea iti kaharungi. So weaving is as a continually evolving art form with practitioners experimenting and inspiring each other to produce new works. Where once weaving skills were used to produce all manner of clothing, today a woven garment is usually a highly prized piece imbued with significant aesthetic and symbolic meaning. So Kohai shares the making of the kahu, and it was 2 years in the making and was gifted the name drawn from the university's Wakatuaki. Their proverb, which kind of translated means seek the treasure you value most dearly. If you bow your head, let it be to a lofty mountain. So the kakao is woven from muka or flax fibers with a taniko border at the hem and feathers from kiwi and kiraru and turara and pukeka, tui, pheasant and kia adorn the top. So I hope I got all those terms correctly. So Kohai Grace is a master weaver, and she describes her work as bringing together the old and the new, honouring the knowledge and skill of those who taught her the art of weaving and her teachers in the Maori Visual Arts program at Massey University. She sees weaving as a continually evolving art form, from practitioners experimenting and inspiring each other to produce new works. So I think just to sit back and enjoy this film. And so thank you, Angela. I think if you would play that one. Thank you so much, Kohai. Thank you for your film. Yes.
What I wanted to share, and it doesn't in any way do justice to this beautiful, beautiful, incredible work, but what it reminded me of is that once, as a student, I was talking to a fashion museum director, and one thing he said, what I'll never forget, is, let's say non-Western cultures don't have fashion because haute couture takes so much time and skill. Honestly, if I ever get a chance, I'll send him this film, and that'll shut him up.
Just in response to that, I'm currently working on a body of work that is the contrary to that. Still using the muka, the flax fibre, and the customary weaving, producing pieces of work that are sort of more relevant to today, I guess, and not as time consuming. So that's the challenge in itself, is getting more work out in a shorter time. And possibly people might consider wanting to wear.
But absolutely, just an incredible insight into the work, and I think we really are sticking with a series of films that really look closely at weaving, and it's really quite interesting to kind of think about the clothes we wear, and we speak about fashion, and we engaging with fashion as a kind of site of inquiry, but actually these films are taking us really into like what that material fiber is. So in this film, the next film we're going to see, it's a short film that is called Karen's Flax Garden, and it's a beautiful video portrait of Karen Venen, and I think Karen's joined us, and it illustrates her efforts to revive indigenous crops in the Arnhem region in the Netherlands that were used for fabric weaving and textile dyeing before industrialization and mass production took over. So in the scenic garden behind the old church in her village, she shares her passion for reintroducing disappearing local knowledge on cultivating, spinning, weaving, and dyeing techniques, and the importance of slowing down, working the land, and being grateful for the gifts of nature. So we've really kind of sort of traveled around the world through Ecuador, India, Amsterdam very briefly, down to New Zealand and back to the Netherlands. So Karen is an independent researcher based in the Netherlands working on reviving indigenous crops. And through her learning by doing, she's reintroducing lost knowledges on cultivating, spinning, weaving and dyeing techniques. So yeah, Angela, if you could play that one.
Ik ben Karin en we zijn hier in de pluktuin in Oosterbeek bij de Oude Kerk. En dit jaar heb ik hier een mini verlasveldje mogen verbouwen. Ik ben 2 jaar linnensteward geweest toen ik van het project hoorde. En toen dacht ik, daar ga ik meteen aan meedoen. En nu kreeg ik dit jaar de kans om hier een mini veldje zelf te verbouwen in mijn eigen dorp. Dus ik heb 6 vierkante meter vlas hier verbouwd. Een heel klein veldje, maar heel goede opbrengst. En ik heb hier ook weden en meekrap mogen telen. Ik was met kaas maken bezig en ik wilde echt de oude manier van kaas maken gaan opzoeken. En ik wilde daar ook echte kaasdoeken van brandnetel voor gebruiken. Die zijn niet te koop. Dus dacht ik, dan ga ik dat zelf doen. Brandnetel zat. Maar ik had eigenlijk nog nooit gesponnen, ook nog nooit geweven. Dus ik ben via Crafts Council als eerste een spinworkshop om vlassenspinnen gaan volgen. En zo ben ik uiteindelijk de steward geworden. En niet met brandnetel, maar op dit moment nog steeds met linnen bezig. Omdat ik juist zo geïnteresseerd ben in zaad, hoe dat zaad werkt, hoe die plant groeit. Ik heb op een 6 vierkante meter vlas heb ik 6 verschillende rassen gezaaid. Ook omdat ik juist wilde leren kennen wat de verschillen zijn tussen de verschillende vlassoorten. En je ziet in ieder geval al dat dit is Fries witbloei, een heel stuk kleiner is dan deze bijvoorbeeld. Dit is Verlies, een modern ras. Waar ik naar op zoek ben is een vlassoort wat bij mij past. Wat bij mijn omgeving past en bij mijn manier van werken. Ik hoef niet machinaal te trekken, dus mijn vlas hoeft niet zo sterk te zijn dat die geschikt is om machinaal te trekken. Mijn vlas kan misschien wel juist heel lang en fragiel zijn, omdat ik daar een mooiere vlasdraad van kan spinnen. En daar ben ik nog naar op zoek. En door juist verschillende rassen te zaaien en te zien groeien en te verwerken, ga ik ooit vinden welke bij mij gaat passen. Dit is het meekrapbed. Waar het om gaat bij de meekrap is de wortel. En de wortel die moet 3 jaar minstens groeien om groot genoeg te worden. Dit is de wortel. En kijk maar, de wortels zijn ontzettend oranje. En als ik er eentje breek, zie je hier al een beetje rood zitten. Wat voor kleur je uit die wortel kunt krijgen, is dus dit rood. Wie kan ooit verzinnen dat uit deze plant deze kleur te krijgen is? Ik hoef niet iets te hebben wat helemaal van de andere kant van de wereld is. Want het is zo gaaf om te zien wat er hier onder mijn eigen voeten en handen te verkrijgen is. Als je gaat zoeken, oké, wat die anderen ergens anders maken is heel gaaf. Hoe zou ik dat zoiets kunnen maken met dat wat ik hier onder mijn voeten vind? En dat is wat ik eigenlijk nu aan het zoeken ben. En daar word ik zo blij van. En dan als je op die manier werkt, ga je jezelf verbinden met wat er om je heen is. Ga je zien wat er hier allemaal mogelijk is. En ga je ook zien wat de consequenties van je handelen zijn. Dat als je een tak snoeit, dan zie je wat er gebeurt rondom dat wat je aan het doen bent. Dit is een van de wedebedden die we dit jaar hebben gezaaid en gebruik van hebben gemaakt. De wede die explodeert gewoon hier op deze kleigrond. Vorige week hebben we hier 2 kuipen met wedeblad laten fermenteren. Dus in dit blad komt na fermentatie deze kleur tevoorschijn.
Hoe heeft vlas jou als mens, jouw leven beïnvloed of veranderd?
Weet je, Theodor, ik denk dat ik dat het beste kan vertellen als ik het vlas in mijn handen heb. Dit is een schoof van het vlas van dit jaar. En dan denk je van, ja, wat is dit nou? Dit is gewoon een plant. Nou, je ziet nog waar de zaadbolletjes hebben gezeten. En de wortel zit er ook nog aan. En hier kun je dan linnen van maken. En dan ga je dat vlas breken. En dan zie je daadwerkelijk allemaal vezeltjes verschijnen. Dat je echt denkt van wauw. Zo'n plant die gewoon al zo super mooi is dat die bloeit in allerlei kleuren. Ik heb hier zowel witbloeiend als paarsbloeiend als blauwbloeiend, wat de meesten kennen, gehad. Maar ook paars en wit. Het is al een mooie plant, maar je kunt er dus linnen van maken. En dat vind ik zo geweldig. We zijn vergeten dat linnen van deze plant komt. We zijn vergeten wat spinnen is. Er zijn wel mensen die aan het spinnen zijn, maar de gewone mens, wie weet nou waar ze kleren van gemaakt zijn. Waar ze mee geverfd zijn. Ik denk dat het uiteindelijk niet om het linnen gaat. Maar om de wijze waarop we als stewards zijn begonnen. Om te ontdekken wat we eigenlijk kwijt zijn geraakt. En de liefde en aandacht waar je je mee bezig gaat houden. En of dat nou linnen is, of dat het wol is, of hout is, of wilgetenen is. Maakt niet uit. Ik word er gewoon verliefd van. Van wat ik om me heen zie. En dat het allemaal mogelijk is. Dat. En dat gun ik iedereen die daar open voor staat.
Thank you so much, Karen. Kohai, would you want to say something?
I thought that was incredible. I just really enjoyed seeing that and related so much to what I do. Just so many similarities. Yeah. Being in love with the fibers and being part of the whole whakapapa of it, from growing it from seed to working it with your hands. I thought it was amazing. Yeah. And so harakeke in Aotearoa has been wrongly named flax. And now I know what flax really is. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Really interesting.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah. We're going to just hold these very special memories because it feels like we've been visiting these homes and these spaces and these environments of making. So we're really honored to be sharing these spaces with you. So the fifth film is called Uli's Voice. And from A Sacrifice Zone. It's a slightly longer film. So it's a short and quite powerful documentary called Uli's Film. It's about a weaver in North Sumatra. So we've really continued our journey in Indonesia. It explains how weaving, one of the great loves of her life, is becoming increasingly challenged by the enclosure of mechanical production that plunders designs wantonly from her ancient traditions. She also explains that this enclosure is reducing far more than just her source of income. So Indigenous weaving practices entail relations with community and culture and nature, and all of that is also eroded by the industrial enclosure of her craft heritage. So it's by Sandra Niessen, who is a freelance consulting anthropologist based in the Netherlands, and as we speak, I think she is currently in North Sumatra. So since 1979, she's been studying, lecturing, and writing about the Batak culture of North Sumatra and Indonesia. And in 2003, she left her teaching position of some 15 years to then complete the legacy of cloth Batak textiles in Indonesia and to explore her origins in the Netherlands. So in addition to writing and speaking and fieldwork, the central theme of her career, she's also been contributing to museum catalogues and museum collections and exhibitions and contributing to the RCDF. So Angela, if you want to play Uli's Voice.
Saya berdiri di sini melalui PAN dan teman-teman di seluruh dunia sesama Partonun untuk bersuara lebih keras, mengembalikan semua hak kami atas karya-karya ini. Horas, selamat siang dari Tarutung. Saya Uli. Saya lahir di Pancurna Pito, Silindo. Saya berprofesi sebagai penenun tradisional Batak, khusus untuk tenunan-tenunan Silindo. Saya terlahir dari keluarga penenun. Saya dan seluruh keluarga saya, mulai dari nenek saya, adalah penenun. Kami menekuni tenun ulos, kain untuk ritual adat yang sudah dilakukan nenek moyang kami hingga sekarang. Saya lahir dengan pakaian modern, dengan baju-baju gaun. Saya tidak lagi mengenal pakaian tradisional. Menurut cerita yang kita dengar dari orang-orang tua, mereka memakai pakaian modern itu semenjak adanya berbagai perdagangan lintas dan pendatang-pendatang baru di luar Batak di daerah tersebut. Pakaian menurut modernisasi adalah wujud dari kecerdasan manusia. Saya rasa tidak. Itu tidak betul. Di sini sudah ada kepintaran, kecerdasan, penemuan, pengetahuan. Dan komunitas ini tidak asal dibuat. Saya memandang tenun itu adalah jati diri kami dan juga harga diri kami. Karya-karya itu adalah ciptaan yang diwariskan kepada kami secara darah dan terus-menerus dilestarikan dan dianggap kebanggaan. Harga diri kami itu tidak bisa dinilai dengan uang dan materi yang ditawarkan oleh industri. Bertenun itu adalah panggilan. Saya meneruskan apa yang sudah diwariskan secara turun-temurun ke dalam darah saya. Pilihan tetap bertenun tradisional itu karena saya melihat bahwa itu jauh lebih ramah lingkungan dan penuh dengan ilmu, pengetahuan. Dan juga menjadi petualangan karena di tradisi kami, di tradisi tenun itu, kami tidak hanya memproduksi kain semata, tapi kami juga menganggapnya spiritual, bagian dari kepuasan rohani, bagian dari kepuasan jiwa. Itu yang tidak ditemukan di kain-kain buatan pabrik. Ini lebih luas cakupannya dari seni. Karena kita juga di dalamnya harus menyertakan alam dan kelestariannya. Karena tenun itu asalnya adalah dari alam, alat-alatnya dari alam, bahan-bahannya dari alam. Jika tenun itu hilang, maka perawatan kepada alam itu akan berkurang. Orang tidak akan punya kebutuhan lagi dengan alam kalau semuanya sudah bisa dihasilkan pabrik. Karena alam tidak bisa ditanggung-jawabi dan dipelihara oleh satu orang. Itu harus kesadaran kolektif. Kami semua adalah komunitas yang terjalin di dalam marga dan adat. Tenun itu adalah komunitas, bahwa desainnya itu bersama, pengerjaannya itu bersama, ilmunya bersama. Karena itu di daerah saya lebih penting dari materi. Kemudian ada orang yang mengubahnya atau ada orang yang serakah mengambilnya untuk dijadikan penghasil uangnya. Demikian caranya. Mereka menitik beratkan setiap karya itu harus menjadi uang. Saya rasa di situ yang membuat pergeseran ini semakin lama, semakin jauh. Tetapi lama-kelamaan terjadi pergeseran yang dahsyat sekali bahwa kain-kain untuk ritual yang kita sebut ulos itu diproduksi secara massal oleh mesin, oleh alat tenun bukan mesin. Mereka melakukan pencurian motif, pencurian ukuran, pencurian keilmuan yang sudah kami warisi bertahun-tahun lamanya, bahkan ratusan tahun lamanya dan bergenerasi. Ini suatu tindakan semena-mena bagi kami. Mereka yang telah mengambil motif kami ini tidak sadar bahwa mereka melakukan sesuatu yang buruk kepada kami, sesuatu yang buruk kepada alam. Mereka mungkin tidak sadar. Selama 8 tahun, saya memperjuangkan tenun ini untuk bisa mendapat tempat lagi di masyarakatnya. Orang kami sangat menyukai tradisinya, tapi mereka bingung dengan sejarahnya. Mereka ingin modern, tapi di satu sisi mereka rindu dengan budayanya. Tapi mereka tidak tahu harus memulai dari mana. Ini juga kebingungan yang pernah saya alami bertahun-tahun. Beberapa partonun memilih berhenti dari pekerjaannya dan menekuni bidang yang lain. Beberapa meneruskan seperti saya, tetapi kami akhirnya berkecimpung dan menjadi bagian industri dari tekstil ini. Kami tidak lagi bertenun sesuai dengan desain yang sudah ditanamkan di kepala kami, tetapi kami bertenun sesuai dengan pesanan dan motif dari desainer. Kami tak lebih dari manusia yang diprogram untuk bertenun. Tak jauh beda dari mesin, tapi kami terpaksa melakukan ini untuk tetap punya nafkah. Nafkah yang sama rendahnya dengan harga produksi mesin atau jauh lebih rendah. Ini semua sebuah sistem yang membuat kami tidak berdaya dengan keadaan ini. Saya menginginkan kebebasan dari sistem perdagangan ini. Satu-satunya cara kami terus bertenun adalah mengharapkan benang pabrik. Dan kami dikontrol dari benang-benang itu. Harga kami dikontrol, penjualan kami dikontrol, motif kami dikontrol. Kami menenun sesuai dengan pesanan mereka. Bukan sesuai dengan keahlian kami di sini. Dia adalah guru yang sudah menanamkan ini ke kepala saya tanpa sadar gitu. Tahun 2009 ibu saya berhenti bertenun. Karena meneruskan itu seperti hanya memperkaya orang lain saja. Saya ingin punya kesempatan bersama komunitas saya untuk mengendalikan pemakaian motif-motif kami dan juga peredarannya di adat. Kami juga berharap bahwa ada regulasi untuk para pekerja seperti kami. Kami ingin ditempatkan sebagai partonun dan orang yang memiliki hak cipta dari karya-karya tenun tersebut. Mereka harusnya memproduksi kain yang tidak sama dengan kain kami. Karena jika kami berlomba dengan mesin, kami pasti kalah. Kekuatan manusia berbeda dengan mesin. Saat ini, kain yang saya tenun berlomba dengan mesin itu tidak manusiawi untuk partonun. Karena itu saya mempunyai harapan yang sangat besar bahwa akan ada perlindungan kepada partonun tentang kain-kain tradisional ini. Dan mereka dikembalikan fungsinya seperti semula. Kami hanya meminta bagian untuk tetap memakai kain-kain tradisional itu kepada ritual saja. Karena tidak mungkin di zaman ini kita mengembalikan orang-orang untuk berpakaian tradisional. Dengan kesadaran seperti ini, maka akan banyak yang kita selamatkan dari tenun. Termasuk alat-alatnya yang banyak. Termasuk pohon-pohonnya. Termasuk tumbuhan-tumbuhan yang dipakai untuk memproduksi tenun itu. Itu seharusnya dikembalikan kepada kami seperti dulu. Dan kami seharusnya mendapat perlindungan untuk semua karya-karya dan motif yang sudah kami pelajari sekian tahun. Juga kami harus punya kebebasan untuk berkarya. Semua pakaian-pakaian yang dicetak dengan motif-motif yang telah kami warisi beratus-ratus tahun itu, kami partonun tidak mendapat manfaat atau royalti dari semua itu. Bahkan kami juga tidak mendapat izin untuk mereka menggunakan karya itu. Saya berdiri di sini melalui PAN dan teman-teman di seluruh dunia sesama Partonun untuk bersuara lebih keras, mengembalikan semua hak kami atas karya-karya ini. Kita semua ini pasti terhubung. Seperti benang-benang kita yang panjang ini, kita pasti terhubung. Ini ada keterhubungan di antara kita semua, di antara alam kita semua. Kita pasti terhubung. Dan sudah waktunya kita sadar keterhubungan kita semua ini. Demikian yang bisa saya sampaikan. Mau lihat Horas.
Wow, wow. There was something that she said right in the beginning was that weaving is for her not just knowledge, it's being with the environment and it's adventure. And I thought that was just such an incredible place to kind of hold weaving as adventure. If anybody would like to respond to Uli's film, I know Pierre-Antoine, you were saying you wanted to share the film.
Yeah, I was very touched by the movie for its truth and it's it's a sort of format I was actually looking for years, so I'm very glad that I could watch it. As well, it could be great. I mean, some of us are educators in this room, and I think it's a great example that can be shared to students. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing it.
Just so clear. The film is called Uli's Voice, but also just what it is to allow somebody to speak from their place of knowledge. Which is
yeah, and it's quite rare to hear voices from weavers and communities directly, and so yes, it's a great example of what I mean. I wish that actually could be multiplied and we could eventually, I mean, it could inspire, and I'm sure it inspired already other communities of weavers to share their work and share as well their issues, and seeing the industrialization of weaving that is dismantling all this knowledge. So yeah, I really enjoyed watching it. Yeah.
A powerful film, and then I think we're going to close off the session with a film that is called Leaking Blue, and so it is a film about a mother who looks for her son in a hospital bed, and she finds her daughter instead. Among shores and tides, blue leaks from the core. The film is by Julia Sarkago, who is professor, film writer, and doctoral student in the graduate program in literature and culture at the Federal University in Bahia. And so Leaking Blue was shot in 2018, and it's her first short film, and it was nominated in the documentary category for the 2019 Brazil Cinema Grand Prix. It was shown at over 30 festivals worldwide and has received some awards, such as Best Director. So I think we are closing off with Leaking Blue. And then maybe I'd love to kind of also just, if you're able to stay with us in the room, just to share some thoughts at the end of the session. Some thoughts or me?
Oh, well, first of all, I'd just like to say what an amazing evening this has been. I've really, well, first of all, to go back to the session about the zines, even, I was thinking so much about the idea of doing, having done the zine and then doing another zine, and that sense of moving forward and series and where next. And then with the films, again, there's some of these films I've seen in the GFA and I've seen separately, and then to watch them all together and think of them as an ongoing series of ways of thinking and speaking with each other and communicating. Uli's voice is always so powerful as a work, and I completely agree with the comments earlier about it being the most incredible, I'm going to use the word text, but which is not the right word, but the incredible text for sharing with students as well. And all of the films that I've seen this evening have really struck me for this element of truth and this sense of knowledges. So it's been amazing. It's also been great to be able to share this at home with my partner here on the sofa, who has plenty to say about it, doesn't want to contribute. However, it's been the most incredible experience of sharing all this material and with you as a community, but also with my space at home, and that in itself I think is new and different and also really valuable for me. So thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And I think sort of the idea of these as a text, what they start to do, and maybe I'd like to ask me, because I think you were very much part of the curating of these films and putting them together for us. And just in closing, if anybody would like to say something after me, I'm very aware of the time. So me.
Yeah, so thank you for staying. I know it's late already, and I hope you have all liked the films. Actually, I got the title that I created, but I shared the work with Angela because we watched all the film all together and we discussed. And the last one was quite disturbing when I watched it, but at the same time, I felt when I organized the program, they would be in dialogue with one another. Because when we think about the dense layers of fashion and how that goes from spinning, and that goes with religion, traditions, and patriarchy, and that by the end we get the colonial / modernity. So I hope you have felt the same what I intended to do. But for me, it's really how we think fashion in the public and private space, and how we are truly sensing, touching our sensibilities with fashion, but also values that society kind of imposed to us. I think that's what I always, when I now that I saw them all together with you all, but I sense it.
Thank you, Mia. Would anybody like to share some thoughts?
I'm going to translate what Zeca just wrote in Portuguese. I try my best. He says, I love it how they move. So the last one, explore the experience of public and private. Everything's open to the space to judge. Now it's faced up. So they are in the middle of square, and they're in the middle of the street. They're in the corners. So there is a stigma of the dissidents' bodies to be experimented on the ghettos and also in the eggs. Think about bell hooks. So he says he loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I was hesitant to contribute because I feel, it deserves, all of the films deserve so much, reflection and sharing. And unfortunately, we, ran out of time. But I do, every time, I'm so struck and touched. I mean, I've seen all the movies several times, but once you put them together and they start communicating together, it's just, it just overwhelms me every time again. I think and that's probably also at Decoloniality modernity, is that the violence comes in so many different forms and ways. And if anything, besides the violence, it also sometimes feels like the answers are so easy, as in when you see how close, you know, the weaving is to nature, and how, you know, I always feel like the answers are right in front of us. And for whatever reason, we've all been so incredibly formatted to be in that modernity that we all know is so incredibly violent, but we're so strongly formatted to go towards that. Whereas the answers are just right there. And when you look at these films again, you know, whether it's love or whether it's nature, they seem so obvious, really. Again, it would deserve another 2 hours just to reflect on these beautiful, beautiful, stories. I don't know how to call them, really. But again, the communication between them is always very powerful. So that only confirms how we just need to bring things together, whether it's people, whether it's stories, whether it's these struggles and battles also. I think when you see all these weavers fighting, you know, they can create collective and, you know, fight back together.
Absolutely. And I think, thank you so much, just also for the, you know, courage to invite these into dialogue with one another. And so I think the importance of really old knowledges coming in with really kind of new knowledges, mixing in with from, you know, really diverse spaces across the world. And I think that's what for me has struck so strongly is how common, how in a common kind of way the pathway to decolonize or to decolonial futures is a kind of shared qualities spread around the world. And it's these kinds of voices that I think are starting to come together. So I would like to close, I think, on this important evening, to close the 2 days of the AGM, and for being with us and sharing with us again and walking the journey with us. And it's been a real honor to be able to be part of this film festival, this little decolonial film festival. So congratulations on you, and congratulations on the zine, and congratulations on the 10 years of the RCDF. We will continue.
Absolutely. And I kind of want to say goodbye, but also hello at the same time, because I wouldn't, ciao, if that's in Italian, that's hello and goodbye at the same time. We need a word like that because it's, I'm looking at you on the screen, and I want to say bye for now, but also greetings. Let's continue the conversation.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Obrigado.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Obrigada. Gracias.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
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 Dziękuję.